Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to be with you today to celebrate 10 years of Equal Origins. I'm Neera Johri. I'm the former Chief Sustainability Officer for KFC at Yum Brands. And my connection to cocoa and coffee started long ago when I worked at the World Cocoa Foundation. And so have long been connected to women in these supply chains and excited to continue to be with you as the board chair for Equal Origins today. We're really excited to share a discussion with you today with an esteemed group of panelists. And we're going to just talk a little bit about some of the progress of the last decade. We're going to share some of the work in the partnerships that Equal Origins has, and then hopefully share innovation and also inspiration for the next decade to come. I think most of you know why we're here. Many of you will be working in these supply chains, and you know uniquely the challenges that women in these supply chains face. Women really are the backbone of global agriculture. They comprise over 43% of the agricultural workforce across over 570 million farms, mostly in developing countries. But despite their critical contributions, their labor often goes unrecognized and undercompensated. And we know that systemic bias hinders the accessibility of the sustainability projects that many of us do around the world and leads to low adoption rates and reduced environmental and economic impacts. Equal Origins is really seeking to change those realities. Our vision is a world where women in agriculture have equal access to resources, opportunities, and decision-making power, fueling resilient, prosperous farming communities and a more sustainable future for all. And today is really special because it's the United Nations International Day of Rural Women. And I just wanted to share something that was posted on their website yesterday about this year and the call to action that they have asked of all of us. So they say, we call for bold action to advance the equality, rights, and empowerment of women and girls living in rural settings. Every day, they feed the communities, protect the environment, and power sustainable development. Investing in them is both an act of justice and a safeguard for our shared future. This year's theme is Rural Women Rising and is both a tribute and a call to action. Advancing their livelihoods, leadership, rights, and resilience is essential. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Kimberly, who's going to share a little bit more about today's celebration. Kimberly, over to you.
Thank you, Neera. Great. Thank you, Neera, and thank you everyone for being here, wherever you are. We're grateful for your partnership, your attention, your commitment to this issue. We know that in this day and age, there are many things that you could be doing this morning or this afternoon, and here you are with us to celebrate. So my name is Kimberly Eason. I am the founder and the CEO of Equal Origins. We've existed now, it's hard to believe, but very exciting that we're here now for 10 years. Many of you have received, and I hope you've had a chance to review our State of Progress report, which really highlights why we're here and the chance we have to celebrate. And this work is not only about Equal Origins, because this is a partnership. And many of you may recall, we were founded under the umbrella of the Coffee Quality Institute 10 years ago as the Partnership for Gender Equity. We realized that as one organization, that we really needed to partner. We really needed to connect with companies, with brands, with farmer organizations, with individuals, not-for-profit organizations, other development partners, governments, and beyond in order to really have a transformative impact on this issue. What we realized and have over the course of the 10 years is that our goals as the coffee sector, as the cocoa sector, or agriculture more broadly, we cannot achieve sustainability, resilience, greater peace, and harmony in the world without women farmers and without really centering in these critical industries the role of women farmers in everything that they do to help ensure that those of us that love and appreciate our daily cup of coffee and our bite of sweet chocolate from time to time, or daily, as is my case, that without women, we do not have the opportunity to enjoy these incredible goods and products. So we have worked with three different governments, 23 different countries where our programming has reached women farmers and their families. We've reached through these partnerships more than 530,000 farming families, 40 different countries where our gender equity index has active users, and then 6 national platforms, and that's specifically with our partnership with the Global Coffee Platform, which Trung will be speaking about today. If you had a chance to review the report, if you haven't, here's a QR code for you to access the report. But it really has been a journey that built on research, then pilot projects to demonstrate the need and the opportunity, bringing in more scale through partnerships, which we'll hear about from our different panelists today. We, as all of us, because of COVID really impacting the way that we work, we actually found that our work was able to reach more broadly through virtual programming and innovation through technology. We've considered always research as fundamental to how we position our work and the importance of this issue and the need and the opportunity for partners to engage globally. And then really scaling. We've brought on partners also in cocoa over time, and Pham is here and Billy are here to talk about the work that we've done together in global partnerships. We have a number of our development partners here from GIZ, and of course, our relationship with USAID early on has really been critical and pivotal for us to be able to test the work, pilot the work, and then scale over time. So as we move into the next decade, we are really looking forward to continuing our work with all of you. I'm going to turn back over to Neera, and she's going to continue the conversation with our panelists, and then I'll come back and we'll talk a bit about what we're going to do together for the year 2026, which is the International Year of the Woman Farmer as declared by the United Nations last year. And we're really eager and enthusiastic about how we can leverage this critical opportunity to build bold change for farming women and communities and all of us in these important global sectors. So Neera, back over to you and the panelists.
Thanks so much, Kimberly. And we're just going to spend the next 30 or 35 minutes talking about some of that progress from the people who have been helping to build and create that. So our panelists will introduce themselves as they first start to speak, and we're really aiming for a conversation today. Kimberly, I don't know if we have an opportunity for people to ask questions or participate along the sidelines. If we do, please send in your thoughts. With that, we'll kick off with our first question. And the first question is, what has been a highlight for you of working with Equal Origins over the last decade from 2015 to 2025? And I'm going to pass it over to our fellow board member and friend, Brooke, to kick us off. So Brooke, please just introduce yourself before you go.
Thanks, Neera, and thanks, Kimberly. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. My name is Brooke Cantrell. I'm the VP of Sustainability and Insights for Westrock Coffee Company. We're a roaster here in the US. And I've had the real pleasure and honor to be involved in different capacities with Equal Origins back to their beginning research under the Partnership for Gender Equity. And I think, you know, being alongside that journey, what has been so exciting for me is, you know, going from research. The first thing that Kimberly and her team and a few partners did were say, what does the data tell us? what is the current, does the data support what we think we know about women's access to services and to financial opportunities and supply chains? And if they had equal access, what would the value of that be for all of the companies that really depend on these women farmers and their families for our raw goods and service, or our raw goods, our raw materials? And so seeing the evolution from initial research to all that Equal Origins has put together in terms of services and tools to help people who are already delivering services to these farming communities really amplify the impact of those services and investments has really been the most exciting thing for me. So going from a question to tools and services to help us all harness the power of gender equitable access has been really exciting. And thanks, Kimberly, for leading the helm of all of that.
Thank you, Brooke.
I love that, Brooke, and I think you've hit on so many important things that many sustainability and development practitioners go through. What is the question that we're solving for, and then how do we validate that, understand when we're making progress, and most importantly, provide value to the people in those supply chains as well as the organizations we work for. So with that, Trung, same question for you. We'd love to hear what your highlights have been over the last decade of work with Equal Origins.
Thank you, Nira. Hello, everyone. My name is Trung Pham. I'm a program manager of the global coffee platform in Vietnam. I later work with the partner across the country to build a more sustainable and more inclusive coffee sectors in Vietnam. I have a very big pleasure to work with Equal Origin over the past months in order to integrate the gender equality to our country's strategies and sustainability program. Among so many things that we have been working together, so one of the major highlights for me and also for ZSP Vietnam is the recent collaboration on the Gender Equity Index. The process came at a very important time for us because we were refining our 2030 collective action plan. The Gender Equity Index tool helped us to take a honest and structured look at where we stand in terms of the gender equity across internal system, origin, and impact. It was more than a survey, but it is a learning and reflection process. Our team were able to assess, identify gaps, and then prioritize action that really fit our context. What makes this experience especially valuable for us were Equal Origin tailored approach. Rather than applying a rigid model, the Equal Origin team worked closely with us to ensure that the exercise will fit for the purpose, flexible, relevant, realistic for each country platform. So all that make a big difference in terms of engagement and ownership for us. Equally important were the open and constructive dialogue with Equal Origins, particularly our dialogue and consultation with Greg. We really appreciate being able to respond to the initial analysis and then co-develop a roadmap that really reflects our capacity and also our aspiration. And this partnership helped us to have the shape the internal conversation on the gender issue from general intention to the operational strategies. Thank you.
Thank you, Trung, and I love that. I think the reality is it's very hard to have super structured models. Each of our environments are going to be different, and we need partners who are flexible and able to meet us where we are. So thank you for sharing your highlights, and now we'll jump over to Kelly.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelly Amoroso. I am the senior coffee and tea buyer here at Allegro Coffee Company, and we source, roast, and pack and pack and distribute all of the coffees that are under the Whole Foods Market brand and 365, a grocery store chain here in the US. My journey, like Brooke's, started back at least 10 something years ago with under the Partnership for Gender Equity. And I think what I really like to piggyback off of the two things that Trung mentioned and Brooke, you know, as at the beginning, it was a very abstract discussion of how are we going to, as an industry, come together and address this issue. And it was a really, it took us a little bit to get there and create some tools for the industry to use, but there was probably 10 core companies and buyers and sustainability folks that were on the team of deciding, like, how are we going to address it? And it became this very abstract thing, and it was like, okay, well, as buyers, what do we seek for with our supply chain partners? How are they making advances? What are they doing in this area of their work? This is something that we're interested in supporting. And then between all of the different supply chain partners, we ended up designing, and with the help of all the support with Gender Equity and Kimberly Eason and all of her staff and team, designing the Gender Equity Index to really help capture and create an opportunity for folks to just kind of take a moment and measure where they're at. And it gives them an opportunity to understand where they can grow, where they can design programs, where they can create education and awareness workshops. And that has been such an effective tool within our supply chain partners that we do at Origin. We've sponsored several Better Together workshops and encouraged all of our partners to use the Gender Equity Index as just a questionnaire to understand the opportunities they can do to further promote gender equity within, not only within their organization, but in their coffee community around them as well. So it's been a fun journey, and I'm looking forward to the next 10 as well.
Thank you, Kelly. And I think the reality is so many of us are working in common systems and different systems. So the more we can unify in commodities around common systems that make everything easier for the common actors across supply chains, that only helps us do this work further and faster together. So great, thank you so much. And Billy, we're gonna move over to you. Billy's having a few challenges with his connection, so he's off camera, but I think we showed you his picture earlier, and please look him up. So Billy, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Nira. Thank you, Kimberly. I am Billy Tchakam. I work for HRNS as a project manager in Cameroon. And our journey with Equal Origin started back in 2023 when we needed Equal Origin to work with us in a project we are conducting together with IDH. And this partnership marked a significant step forward in advancing gender equity within our supply chain. So we had some focused training sessions with Equal Origin, where AMS managers were trained and their capacity strengthened on gender equity strategies. These AMS managers gain targeted training on practical strategies and tools to integrate gender equity principles into supply chain operations. This also helps the team to improve awareness to commitment across all our system. So the training then deepened AMS leadership and staff to understand the gender dynamics and their impact on the business performance, leading to a stronger organizational commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion goals. So all these efforts within the time help us to move from an organization that was perceiving gender just as a women-only training to a really inclusive organization where more and more the team contributes to get all women within our supply chain included into our activities. So globally, we look forward to get better trainings, better information with AMS. I think 2 years of collaboration have been good, but I'm sure we need to do more in the journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. And I think one of the greatest highlights for me of the work that Equal Origins does is how close we are to the first mile of that supply chain, right? Really partnering deeply with those EMS providers, the people who are working day in and day out and know the realities on the ground. So thank you for sharing your story. With that, we'll jump in a little bit now to talk about more. We love to quantify it, right? It's easy to say we've started a project, we did a training, we did some work, but everybody knows all of our organizations are under pressure to quantify, to show the value, to measure that progress, to deliver that back to our organization. So for the next question, we wanted to jump in to really talk about how did this work benefit your organization's broader commercial or impact goals? Or your mission, and what measurable progress did it make? So Pham, we'll jump over to you. If you don't mind, introduce yourself and then share with us a little bit about how this has made measurable progress for ECOM.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Pham Schreier. I'm the Global Head of Sustainability for cocoa at ECOM. Back in 2021, we launched our Smarter Cocoa Charter, which is a specific set of KPIs around how we want to track our progress in sustainability on the cocoa side. And it was really important to us to include something around gender. At the time, I had worked a bit with Kimberly before through a project in Latin America with IDB. And so I knew they were exploring doing the Gender Equity Index. And since we we are traders, so we wanted to address gender from a point where we could have influence and it not be fully demand driven, because you see in the market kind of demand driven would be women-specific coffee products or cocoa products, but we, as traders, wanted something that we could control ourselves. So the Gender Equity Index allowed us to measure our own progress as service providers to farmers and kind of determine how each of our teams could improve. So over the first couple of years, we've run the index in almost all of our origins where we have operations and set up improvement plans that we hope to track our progress over time in terms of how each of our operations is improving in how they address gender, either within their own teams or within the supply chains we work in. And Billy is a good example of that because the AMS team is our team in Cameroon, and they've already been applying quite a lot of what they learned through the workshops with Equal Origins. So it's great to see how that's come along for them.
Great, thank you, Pham. And I think there is that super importance of something, a tool or a framework has to be relevant to you, right? If it's driven by others and can't connect into your own business, the value is far less. So thanks for that insight. We'll pop over now to Pablo, our last panelist. Pablo, we'd love to hear a little bit about how the work has benefited from a commercial or mission perspective for you.
Yeah, thank you. And first, congratulations to Equal Origins and to all the rural women in this day. I'm Pablo Ruiz. I'm the country manager for the Neumann Foundation in Central America, and I'm responsible for all the operations in Guatemala and Honduras in particular. First, I think that our partnership with Equal Origins has strengthened the capacity of our team. We participated in one of the first Better Together workshops, basically with the staff of the offices in Guatemala and Honduras. We had around 20 participants. That basically they were better sensitized. They were given with better tools to improve the planning, to do SWOT analysis inside the organizations, to understand how to do better needs assessment and to improve the facilitation of the training within or teams. And personally, something that I had appreciated a lot from Equal Origins is the Gender Equity Index. I think it's a tool that helps you to measure, and I am one of these guys that thinks that you can't improve what you don't measure, right? And the Equal Origins Index gives you that opportunity. Thanks to the financing of the Lavazza Foundation, we had the opportunity to measure in 15 farmer organizations what was the capacity to respond to gender. And then based on that, we continue to select 5 farmer organizations and build basically gender equity development plans. This was a very active collaboration with Equal Origins and with the farmer organizations. This has influenced a lot how they involve basically all the participants of the farmer organizations, because it's not focused only on women, it is not only focused on male, it is how to integrate better the farmer organization. And for us as HRNS, basically it gives us more tools in our theory of change. It gives us more capacity to influence the more than 8,000 farming families that we are influencing in Central America, and the more than 50 farmer organizations that we are attending.
That's very powerful. I love the numbers at the end there, Pablo, of 8,000 farming families. The reach of, when you begin small and grow big can really scale the impact of this work. So with that, we'll jump over to Billy for the same question. Billy, we'd love for you to share a little bit about how this has helped your organization with measurable progress.
Thank you, Nera. After the training with Equal Origins, we continued to work with them to set up our gender equity development plan. And with this gender equity development plan, we set up a gender committee comprised of 20 members who are spread along who are geographically spread along our supply chain in every area. This gender committee is in charge of ensuring the inclusion of both genders in all activities that are made by every single trainer or buyers around our system. But also on the other side, the team sensitized management that worked at recruiting a number of women, and the number of female trainer increased. Already the number of female grew up from 13% among workers to 20%, but also the essential of the new recruits were female trainers who have a direct access to farmers. We also worked at improving the participation of women to training, and also the number of women who are into the number of women farmers, cocoa farmers, into our system. For instance, in 2023, they made about 15 to 16% of the total farmers, and in 2025 they are 17%. And number of the leadership positions within the company also, in terms of occupation, was improved. The number of women at strategic positions have increased greatly. So globally, there is a big awareness at the organizational level for people for the gender, and most managers are very aware of are very sensitive to gender and act accordingly in their position. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. And I think that watching that incremental progress year on year is very, very powerful, right? Especially as you see women rise into those leadership positions where we really want them to be at the decision-making table. So thanks for sharing. Trung, over to you to share measurable progress.
Thank you, Nira. This is a very, very interesting question. But now, we really want to share our experience and also benefit for the global coffee platform in Vietnam. The Gender Equity Index process has supported this Vietnam to build a more inclusive and sustainable coffee sector by offering a very clear, actionable framework to integrate the gender equality. First, the Gender Equity Index gave us a solid baseline. It allows us to take a stock of where we are across the structure domain and to set realistic target for improvement. This is very good experience for us. And now this is guiding how we check progress on gender through our MEL framework and also the implementation of our collective action plan. Secondly, the tool structure, which is organized into 5 domain and phase recommendation, including quick wins, midterm actions, long-term action. This is very helpful. It brought clarity to what could be feel like very abstract agenda. We already began integrating several elements into our collective action plan. For example, the gender indicators, the time use surveys, or the gender responsive budgeting. The Gender Equity Index also guides us in identify the entry point to improve the communication and outreach with women farmers and partners. And especially, we believe that the more meaningful outcome in this process is a shift in the mindset. The gender issue is no longer a separate add-on issue, but now it's a core cross-cutting driver of farmers' prosperity, partner engagement, and program quality. In some way, that shift is the more important impact because one gender is integrated well into how we plan, how we implement, and how we measure success. Everything can be possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Trung. And I think that the power of strategic clarity is one of the most important things we're always all seeking, right? How to be really clear on what we're doing when there's a lot of challenges, and then also to make that into actionable plans. So thank you for that. And I think that brings us to the next question. And we'll pose this to Brooke and to Pham and to Pablo and other panelists. Please jump in. Lots of barriers still remain in this work, but we are hopeful and we know there's opportunities to also unlock some of those barriers. Brooke, maybe you can kick us off and we'll just have open it up to more conversational style of sharing some of the barriers you still face in your organization and how you're working to unlock that.
Sure. Yeah. I think we still live I think we live more than ever in a very data hungry time. And so the need to, and also I can't say I know where cocoa prices are today, but I sure know where coffee prices are today. And whenever we are in the type of markets that we're currently in, where we see historic highs and all of this, we on the ground and in a corporate office building have to choose our investments wisely. And so part of choosing wisely is what can I defend with data? And so one thing one thing that Equal Origins provides us to really lean heavily into is the Gender Equity Index. So on the ground, if we get a Gender Equity Index score that shows the lack of a critical component of an HR system that doesn't really require that much of an investment, but when you flip that switch and make that improvement and see the impact of that on the ground, it becomes very easy to say this is a worthy investment and to continue on with the work. And so data, understanding. If we were to invest in women in this space or women and men in this space, does it help us get more coffee that is from the places that our customers are wanting us to buy coffee from? That is places that are safe for their brands, that are ethical, are not going to pull them into any unwanted press or hot water, or have their internal teams question whether it was responsibly sourced, all of those things. And so I think that the overwhelming tide of moving to a responsibly sourced approach for cocoa and coffee commodities has really put us in a place where it gives us, a little pressure to defend with data these types of investments. But also the index has given us the ability to prove that out over time. So I know that we just all keep talking about the gender equity index because it's because it's such a great tool. I know that Pham, that y'all have leaned really heavily into the Better Together workshops, and maybe in the same way the index has been so great for us, maybe the Better Together workshops has been great for y'all. But for you, have you seen the Better Together workshop be a little bit more to help you kind of pull data in and prove those investments?
It helps kind of center the team so they understand really what the concepts are underlying it, and then it makes the assessment more accurate, right? Because it really is like a time of reflection that the workshop sets up so that they kind of understand where it's coming from. Because we still have, because of the nature of the job, one of the barriers we face is that our field teams are male dominated. It's just kind of the way it is in rural communities. If you're asking someone to ride around on a motorcycle all day by themselves and go to different places, we tend to only be able to attract and retain men for that job. So the Better Together workshops really help them to see kind of what their role is in gender equity, and then also help open their eyes to the fact that a lot of, speaking of data, a lot of the data we capture is registering farmers, and that tends to be also the male farmer because of different land rights and things like that. So how do they actually, when they arrive at the household, not just address the male farmer, but address everyone in the household? Those kinds of things, just to kind of bring them to top of mind, so then they start to think, oh yes, I can have that conversation with whoever's here. I don't have to wait for the registered farmer to come home, or I could invite this person to that training, or those kinds of things. So how could we kind of change our program so we don't just target the registered farmer, but kind of the larger household? And I think, the workshops and then actually doing the index has helped our teams reflect on that and kind of move forward with how they can address it better.
Great, thanks, Pham. Pablo, any thoughts from you on barriers that you all are facing and how you're working to unlock those?
Yeah, thank you. I think that definitely in the last decades, it has been a progress, but still we are facing several barriers. And from our experience in Guatemala and in Honduras, we are still facing many socio-economical barriers. Like, for example, in many cases, what we have seen is women, they had a smaller farm area than males. In many cases, they are lacking the access to land titles, for example, which also provokes that in many cases they have less access to credit, less access to participate in trainings, or if the training is there, it is not adjusted to a better schedule to improve the participation of women, and also in many decision-making processes, right? Basically, I think that some cultural norms in Central America, I would say, they had influenced that in many cases, women, they are not influencing leadership positions inside the farmer organizations, but also inside the coffee institutions, right? I think that this is when tools like the gender equity plans, they come key because they help to address these barriers, and they help to improve the relations between females and males. And also we as HRNS, well, all the training that we have been receiving and all the work that we have done in the last years, it has helped us to improve the technical assistance that we are providing at the farm level, but also in the household, and then also to build inclusive farmer organizations that can provide really services for women and for youth to really make them active, right?
Thank you, Pablo. And we just have a little bit of room. I wanted to see if anybody else wanted to share any of the barriers they're facing in their organizations and how they're unlocking them. Okay, we can jump to the next question then. Well, the next question is about looking forward, and maybe we've got some time so we can ask all of our panelists just to share some words of wisdom and hope as we go forward. But I think we want to leave you with inspiration and innovation for the future. And the question is around what excites you about gender work in agricultural supply chains as you look ahead to the next decade, and what opportunities do you see? So Kelly, maybe we can start with you, kick us off, and then we'll ask each of our panelists to share and build on those opportunities and hope.
Yeah, sure. I actually want to start by just saying I have seen a success by using the Gender Equity Index and the Better Together workshops within our own supply chains, primarily in quality improvements. We've seen financial improvements and better health of our cooperative partners at origin because of them using this index. We've seen extra income and revenue go into the household because of using the index and implementing these plans, these different projects. So overall, the quality of life for all farmers is benefiting and growing, and it is because everyone is understanding the importance of this topic, and that the women that are doing a lot of the work, they also have some entrepreneurial sides. So they've actually, in several cases, we've seen some folks at Origin design a bakery business, and the women, they procure all of the materials. They bake all the goods. They went and picked out the location to make sure it was, the right traffic. And now all of these women are business owners. These women are entrepreneurial. They are also diversifying their income because of, coffee is harvested once a year. And so they really things get tight right before the harvest starts again. Now they have an alternative income to support their families. So, I just wanted to share that. I think that's one of the beauty of this work, is us being able to see, people just having a more comfortable life and their quality of life improvement. So that's a little bit of story from an Allegro supply chain side. For that very reason, I'm excited about the future, because I do think this work that we've done and that everyone has been such a collaborative partner in is really just kind of socializing it, getting it into more supply chain partners. As roasters, we have taken the index to see if there's a way that we can identify and make some improvements within our structure. So I also want to say, it isn't just the supply chain partners at origin. I think it's the whole chain, and that's the beauty of this tool, is we can all take it either on a personal level or on a professional level too. And I think it's an easily accessible tool. It's free. It kind of just gets things, when I took it, it just made me start thinking about things differently, and the opportunities to bring more gender equity within our supply chain partners, and kind of seeing everything through a gender equitable lens. That's really where I see a future, is everyone will come to the work, to plan the work for a project, will have this in mind when they start planning their activities.
Great, thank you, Kelly. Pham, maybe we can jump over to you.
Sorry, playing with my mic. Yeah, I think also just not just the index, but the fact that Equal Origins has contributed to the larger conversation about gender. There's a lot going on now that kind of gives me hope that programs are starting to look at, you know, the household as a unit and how we can influence behavioral change by addressing all members of the household. So looking at programs that are based on conditional cash transfers, but that have requirements that both the male and the female in the household have mobile money accounts so they can benefit from those kinds of things. Those are popping up more and more in Cocoa. And I think it's to the credit of organizations like Equal Origins who have really pushed for gender to be on the agenda and stay in the conversation and not be a separate topic, but be integrated into larger programs. So I do have hope that as people understand more about how household decisions are made and they involve women, that recognize how much women are involved in those conversations and address them within larger programming, I think that's quite positive, and we'll see a lot of change coming from that type of programming in the future.
Thanks, Pham. Brooke, let's jump over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I would second everything that Kelly and Pham have said. I think that, you know, what excites me is just the sheer opportunity. So whenever you invest in a coffee for Westrock, a coffee producing community, you want that investment to go as far as it possibly can. And so ensuring that everyone who has the ability to sell you coffee from their farm also has the ability to participate and to learn and how to be, you know, the best business owners that they can be, is so just from a financial standpoint, having the language and the tools that Equal Origins provides through the Better Together workshop and how those feed into our own programs and our own supply chain investments is incredible. And then I think that, you know, I think Kelly gave some great examples of what happens when you invest in women and you track the progress. It's like a lesson in compounding interest, right? So their, you know, yields go up, quality goes up, more money is coming into the family, and then that flows into their communities. And so, you know, I think we're excited just to see a bit of an, you know, if not a revolution, an evolution of the way that these farming communities are contributing, or farming households are contributing to their communities when everyone in the household is engaged and empowered. So we're excited over here.
Thanks, Brooke. I think we'll pop over to Trung now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what excites me most is the growing recognition that the gender equity is central to sustainability, farmer prosperity, and business performance. We have heard a lot of panelists also mention about that one, and you see that it's not social add-on. In fact, that for this week, we cannot deliver our mission of closing the living income gap without addressing the gender issue, and because the women often face even larger income gap and many other systemic barriers. So at the same time, we believe that we see the momentum, also see the momentum for the cross-sector learning and alignment, because our collaboration with Equal Origins on the gender equity index is a very good example, and that could be served as a model for other platform and also other sector to learn about. And all that kind of thing is going to help for the whole sector, and more broadly for the supply chains to operate further in the futures. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I just want to make sure, Pablo, Billy, any closing thoughts from you? One line of optimism?
Yeah, from my side, maybe very quickly, it's this reflection of how competitive we can become if we promote gender equity. I think that we have challenges in terms of productivity, in terms of climate smart action, in terms of strengthening farmer organization. And if we open this door for positioning better women and youth, I think that we will become more competitive and we can transform the coffee sector.
Thanks, Pablo. Billy, any closing notes from you?
Yes, I look at the change in the rural environment, and particularly in Cameroon, when I take this particular cultural challenge, where generally in cocoa farming communities, women don't know anything about cocoa farming because it's considered men's activity. And the consequence is that when the men are no more, when they are weakened for one reason or the other, the women cannot take care of the farm, and generally the family income is completely lost to somebody else, generally who should be the man's brother or somebody from the man's family, a man from the man's family who takes over. And the woman has no control on that. I think within these few years of activities, we have seen some women taking more interest in cocoa farming. And I trust very much that this situation can be easily reversed if women have more competence in cocoa farming and preserve their family income that way. So I'm very confident that within the next decade, if we continue to put up little steps, we can reverse this situation even by 50%. Thank you.
I love that ambition, Billy, and little steps to continue the progress that we've shared with some of you through the anecdotes today. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Kimberly. We couldn't leave you without a call to action of how you all can get involved and to share a little bit about how we're thinking about the next decade. Kimberly, over to you.
Great. Thanks, Nira, and thanks to all of our panelists for the really engaging conversations. In my role as leading the organization with our team, I'm not always privy to all of what's said in the different trainings and workshops that we do. And so to really hear from each of you the power of the work that we've been engaging with on the ground and the changes in the lives of women farmers and their families and communities really is inspiring to me, and I hope it has been to all of you that have taken the time to join us today. I think we're here really in a powerful testament to the opportunity that we all have to enhance not only coffee and cocoa industries, but agriculture more broadly and the world more broadly. And that the recognition that women farmers really are critical contributors and change agencies, change agents to help us reach all of our big industry goals that we have, even in these times of uncertainty. And that it really does come down to all of us. We each have a role. We always say this in our trainings, that every person in the industry has a role to play. And the Gender Equity Index, several of you mentioned it, Kelly and others, that even just by taking the Gender Equity Index, your brain synapses start to think differently. So again, it's free. We put the link in the chat. So please just take the opportunity to take it, download a report, and just begin your own learning and engagement and building out this shared language that we can all start to use more consistently to drive change. So in terms of what's next, I'll go very quickly here because I know we're at the end, and maybe just to quickly say, with the Gender Equity Index, we have we're enhancing the tool. Right now, as we speak, we will have another webinar where we will invite folks to learn about new changes, new languages that we're adding to the Gender Equity Index. It's right now in French, Spanish, and English. We're going to be adding Portuguese and Indonesian, potentially Vietnamese. And so all of these are things that we invite engagement and support with. But what we're super excited about, and we want to really leave you with this opportunity for real engagement and change in 2026, is the United Nations Year of the Woman Farmer. We're just now getting started in terms of starting to put out there our plans and what we see as the opportunity. This is being led by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. We are in contact with them and building out our partnership. Essentially what our plan is, you all have heard about our launch of the Stand With Women Farmers campaign. Many organizations are looking to unique ways of fundraising. Obviously, resources are key in order to make the kind of impact that we know is possible with this work. We're here today with a virtual event. We're having a live event in Washington, D.C. later today. So if anybody's in D.C., please message me and we'll make sure you get an invitation to that. We'll be continuing with ongoing online events and in-person events in October and November. We will invite you all via email to continue in this conversation with us. And we'll launch in person and virtually in December, the real heart of our program as we head into 2026. And what that looks like, telling the stories of the women farmers and the organizations that are really elevating the lives and the voices of women farmers. So we'll be having a story hub, and we invite you all to submit stories, to invite women farmers to submit their own stories. And we're having a series of awards. We really want to elevate not only women leaders, but leaders, and not only from farming communities, but globally and regionally. We're looking at a lens of innovation and collaboration. And so we will be announcing what these awards look like. And we really invite you also to let us know about individuals who you think really have been standing out in their commitment to drive change. We'll be hosting events throughout the year. Many of these are in collaboration with those industry organizations that we already know, AFCA, the National Coffee Association, and more. We'll also be doing broader broader events, like the National Restaurant Association and potentially the National Food Expo, Natural Products Expo, and then other events with the Food and Agriculture Organization and EFAD. And then we really invite and are looking for partners in terms of sponsorships of the awards and of the events. There's many opportunities for on-product promotion, as you all know, a cents per pound that you might be able to allocate through purchases and retail engagement. So lots of things happening, and we look forward to letting you know about those in our upcoming exchanges. So with that, I'm to close us off here. I see we're actually at time, and hand it back to Neera, and just really invite you all to continue to support the work and engage with us, because we have a lot of work to do, even as we hold on to the optimism that you've heard from all of our panelists today.
Thanks so much, Kimberly, and to all of our esteemed and wonderful panelists. I think our call to action to you today is leave this call and take 3 minutes out of the day today. It's not a lot, and just have a think about where and how you can continue to support and stand with women farmers. That might be in your day-to-day work, that might be bringing your company into a sponsorship, that might be just reaching out to explore more, whether it's the GEI or with one of our panelists to learn more about the impact of their work. So grab that 3 minutes of today. It's hard to find in a busy day, but maybe as you're walking, maybe as you're getting a breath of fresh air, have a think and think about what you can give back to women farmers today. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.